Grand Canyon is a graveyard for 128 passengers and crew of two airliners which collided in a thunderstorm and crashed on peaks little more than a mile apart. The impact reduced the wreckage to carbonized smears of paint and metal. None survived. It was the worst commercial air disaster in history.
Some experimental black box and pilot voice recorders were used by the military during the Second World War. But it was not until a catastrophic mid-air collision in 1956 that onboard recording boxes were made mandatory by America's Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA.
A major accident above Grand Canyon imposed the FAA and the NTSB to ask for all the airlines to be equipped with audio recording system.
Since the mandate of cockpit voice recorders, hundreds of reports have been made of strange lights, near-miss collisions, and radar tracking of unidentified flying objects. 3 recent pilot recordings captured over the United States are presented here for the first time.
One of the most fascinating cases is Lufthansa 405 out of JFK, November 18th, 1995, where they saw a UFO across Long Island.
The 18th of November 1995. While flying over Long Island, New York, Lufthansa Flight 405, traveling from New York en route to Frankfurt, made a disturbing call to Boston Air Traffic Control. The pilots reported an unidentified flying object passing within 3,000 feet of their plane.
It should be on our tail about 10 minutes. We passed it just 1 minute ago and it was looking strange.
The UFO was described as a long cylindrical object with a white light on the front and a long green comet tail. The strange UFO was also seen by British Airways Flight 226, a 747 flying from London that was just north of the object. The codename for British Airways flights is Speedbird.
I actually looked about opposite traffic 2,000 feet above. It did have a very strong vapor trail which looked more like smoke, and the light on the front was very, very bright.
Lufthansa 405, how far off your side did that traffic pass?
It was pretty close, and like the speedbird said, it looked like 2,000 or 3,000 feet above on the left wing. Just 1 mile, looked like a UFO.
Boston Air Traffic Control contacted Giant Killer, the U.S. military fleet area control and surveillance facility that monitors restricted airspace over the Northeast.
Hey, you got anything flying out in the area?
Negative 105 turned over.
Well, then I just had a couple of UFO reports.
Oh, is that right?
I had a couple of guys that reported lights just going over their head. I had no traffic whatsoever in the area. They said it passed within a mile of them, like a 2,000 feet above them, opposite direction.
Oh, it could have been a meteor or something. No, we don't have any aircraft out there.
Both pilots confirm the object has glowing lights. The object has a green vapor trail, not like any vapor trail they've ever seen.
Both pilots immediately questioned the idea that the UFO they had seen was a meteor.
Lufthansa 405, so you would say that it definitely wasn't a meteorite?
I don't know. It's still a 286 now. It couldn't have been a meteorite because it was flying level. It looked as if it was going very quickly. It definitely looked faster than normal aircraft. It was cruising in a straight line and at one level flight.
Number 226, thank you. We're looking into it. I mean, we're making a report. We really don't know what it was. And the military doesn't admit to anything flying tonight.
While the authenticity of this recording is not in question, the FAA and the airlines have never commented on this mysterious incident. 2 years later, Boston would be the epicenter of another strange encounter between pilots and UFOs. But this time, the encounter would involve a near-miss collision. The incident was captured on tape by the aircraft's black box recorder. The 9th of August, 1997. Swiss Air Flight 127 was a jumbo jet en route to Zurich. Pilot Philip Bobet and First Officer Kurt Grunder were at the controls. At 23,000 feet, Bobet would later report that his visibility was excellent with no haze and a clear blue sky. Suddenly, an unidentified craft entered the plane's airspace. The pilot immediately contacted Boston Air Traffic Control.
Sister 127, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I don't know what it was, but it just overflew like a couple of 100 feet above us. I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
Later, in his official report, Bobe described the UFO as a bright, white, cylindrical object with no wings, resembling a white shark. Aviation writer Don Berliner filed a Freedom of Information Act request to obtain the FAA audio and written records of this incident.
The Swissair case is significant because the object that was described is quite unusual, and the people reporting it have excellent credentials. These are veteran airline pilots.
Moments later, the Boston Control Tower contacted another sector operator who was about to take over the flight.
Hey Chris, Swissair 127, he had a UFO or a rocket, something almost hit him in my airspace.
UFO or a rocket almost hit the Swissair 127?
Went right above him, about 200 or 300 feet.
The pilot's official incident report classified the object as a UFO. However, the National Transportation Safety Board and the FAA concluded that the object seen by Swissair 127 was a weather balloon launched by the military at about the same time.
These are not the kind of people who would be fooled by weather balloons, because these are fairly common experiences among airline pilots. It's really hard to mistake a weather balloon for much of anything else.
These strange encounters with UFOs are not limited to the northeastern United States. Sightings of UFOs by pilots have been reported across America. On the 28th of February 1996, the skies over the Midwest were rocked by simultaneous reports of frightening aeroplane-like objects moving at incredible speeds. This case involved two commercial aircraft, Air Shuttle 5959 en route to Cleveland and Mesaba 3179, a Dash 8 headed from Detroit to Pellston, Michigan. The event was recorded by the Cleveland Tower.
Gets a report from an air shuttle flight coming out of Detroit that they've picked up a strange light very close to them. Nobody can figure out what the light is.
Hey, Cleveland, Air 5959. We see traffic out there 12 to 1 o'clock, lower altitude. Do you have the radar?
Air Shuttle 5959, that's a negative, sir. I don't have anything out in front of you. Can you get an estimate on an altitude on him?
We're in between layers here. I'm just going to estimate 2,000 feet below us, maybe, and sort of pulsating right about, I don't know, 10 miles out. Is that northwest of Detroit? Did you see that light? Yeah. Well, that's what I saw, a real bright white light, sometimes flickering underneath the cloud.
Two reports from two separate aircraft, and both pilots had described the same bright, pulsating light between the cloud layers. Cleveland Air Traffic Control questioned whether the light might be a landing beacon.
Air Shuttle 5959, is that traffic that you saw earlier? Do you see him out there any longer?
That Air Shuttle 5959, that's permanent. I don't know if we'll get closer to it or what, but it looks like a rotating light around it, like a frisbee type thing that's going around it.
Mesaba 3179, do you see the same thing?
Sir, I saw it coming out of Detroit. I wondered, all I saw was just a couple real bright flashes of light, but it looked like it was underneath the cloud deck to me, maybe 10,000 feet.
Would you think it might be like a reflection, maybe perhaps off a beacon that for some reason it's just one of those weird things, natural phenomena that you're getting a reflection? Because I got nothing out there.
There's definitely a distinct whitish, well, it's looking a little red and greenish light sort of pulsating, and it is consonant. It's not a beacon.
The Cleveland Air Shuttle hangs a UE, goes under the light, and now is looking at the light from underneath and says, absolutely not, Cleveland. We're seeing the light above us, probably at 5,000 feet.
And Cleveland Air Shuttle 5959. Just to keep you advised, we're descending to 4,000 feet right now, and as we descended through 10,000 feet, that object is above us right now. It is not on the ground. It's about 10,000 feet. I'll tell you what, that is weird. If you're sitting there pulsating.
I'm trying to do a little investigating as to what this might be, and if you would keep me advised on this.
Okay, sir. I'm going to blink my lights on him and see if I can get any action on him.
Mesaba 3179, when you flashed your lights, did you get any response?
Didn't appear to, sir.
Okay.
A double pilot sighting caught on radio that you would never hear because the media never covered it.
Coming up, Another UFO double sighting, this one involving an America West airliner and NORAD.
This guy definitely saw it run all the way down the side of the airplane. It's right out of the X-Files.
And we'll analyze evidence of UFO sightings during NASA's Apollo moon missions.